Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today we are talking about Beyond Your Finances with our retirement coach, lifestyle retirement coach, Gail Carpenter. She's going to give you a wonderful presentation today full of great information about the non-financial aspects of retirement and things to consider. And you guys probably all know me. I'm Colette Snyder. We're JH Advisors. Gail is a dear friend of ours. And we're certified financial planners here in Lakewood and in Lone Tree. We do these classes about twice a month on all different kinds of topics. I will say we have a new topic coming up that I'm really excited about. We have another guest speaker joining us on June 16th. She's a real estate agent, and she's going to talk about making the decision to relocate or renovate your home. And Sarah Reifenberg is her name, and she's a wealth of information. She's going to tell you all about what's going on in the world of contractors and renovations these days. So be sure to join us for that. And then we're bringing it back old school to Social Security and income planning. We haven't done one of those in a while. So if you know someone who is thinking about claiming their benefit, June 30th, we will be doing Social Security and income planning with Joanne. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Gail Carpenter. She is wonderful. She's going to give you a lot of information here. If you have questions, you can chat them into the box on the right-hand side. We're going to do a little engagement. We're going to do a poll, and we're going to give you a handout. We're going to try to keep you awake.
That's right.
No, Gail's got a great presentation, but don't fall asleep on us. We are going to ask for your participation. I am going to turn off my camera and my microphone, and I'm going to be here in the background moderating if anybody needs help. But I am going to hand it over to
Thank
Gail.
you so much, Colette, and thank you guys for joining me today. I am excited to be talking to you again. I did do one previous webinar, and we focused a lot about resilience, and we'll address that subject a little bit at the end of this particular webinar. But we really are looking at everything about retirement except the financial part, because JH Advisors takes care of that financial part. They take care of it for me. And I really am very, very grateful for that. That, however, has been a huge focus to anyone who is going to be retiring, is you got to get your finances right. But I'm here to tell you that there are other things that are very, very important about planning for retirement. And just as a quick introduction, my background is in teaching, and I also worked in corporate training. And I retired. I retired involuntarily. I retired after a normal retirement age. And the involuntary retirement was pretty traumatic for me. So sometimes I'll speak about my own personal experiences in going through a transition that I mentally was not ready to do. And however, it's been a couple of years now, two and a half years now. And I ran into, about 6 months after I retired, I ran into a group called the Retirement Coaches Association. This is a nationwide group. It's actually an international group. We have several Canadian members, and there's a certification program that goes with it. And we are dedicated to the idea that as you plan for your retirement, there are many considerations besides the financial consideration. Obviously, finances is extremely important, but we also need to think about other things. And we will talk a lot more about that in just a few minutes. So this is my contact information, and you'll see it again on the very last slide. I will talk a little bit more about the complimentary consultation that I would like to offer for you again at the end of the slides. So I do individual coaching sessions. I do public speaking. I write articles and workshops and classes as well. And I'm going to be doing more of those, I hope. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to find out who you are. So we're going to do a poll. And over on the right-hand side of the screen, just select which one of these statements best describes you. Are you within 10 years of retirement from your career, or 2 to 5 years away? Um, do you feel like you will never retire? Or are you actually retired? Or perhaps there's another answer. Okay, so it looks like we've got a couple of you who are 2 to 5 years away from retirement. That really is a perfect time. And when I go through the stages of retirement that are well researched, you will find that 2 to 5 years away from retirement is a critical time to start taking a look at all aspects of retirement. And I'm happy to know that one of you is retired, so we're on the same ship, and we have another answer. So that's great. I'm glad to get to know you in that way. I'm going to ask you also now to chat. Now, this is new because I really like to interact with my audience, and this is the way we're going to have to do it, is by chatting. So you're going to use the chat feature for the next thing. And the next thing is, what does retirement mean to you? It doesn't have to be a big, long statement of any kind. It can just be like beach vacation or something like that. But we all have perceptions that relate to retirement. We probably haven't stopped to examine our perceptions, and we haven't probably stopped to even think about where those perceptions came from. But if you would chat in the chat feature, what retirement means to you. I'll give you just a quick few minutes to do that. Whoops, somehow I got ahead, sorry. So are we chatting? Okay, there it is. Let's see if I can go up and find your chats. All right. I've got one chat, time to relax. Okay, here's Anne, who officially retired in 2019. Right. You were almost, it sounds like you were almost forced to retire, Anne, so that you would be able to hold on to your eligibility and get what you felt that you were going to be getting. Getting off the treadmill, I love that. I've had my own business since 2013. Does that mean you're not going to retire ever? Or unstructured time? Okay, I really like that answer as well, because that is a huge piece of an examination of non-financial aspects of retirement. Is what are you going to do every day? You will have an average of 7 hours of unstructured time, which that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you put all that together, I think I really struggled myself with unstructured time. And we do go through a honeymoon period, which we will talk about as well. Great answers. I really appreciate that. Time to relax, unstructured time. Usually we get our idea of retirement from a parent or someone we know who's already retired. I know that my parents retired, my dad retired very early, and his idea was that the earlier he could retire, the more successful he would be. And we're going to talk about that as a part of a traditional retirement mindset that is changing. It's changing right now. But maybe you can think of someone that you also observed in a retirement period and what they did. I happen to be talking to someone in an office that I go to on a regular basis, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you do retirement coaching. My mother she's retired and she just doesn't know what to do with herself. And is there something you can do to help?" So we talked about that for a while. And yes, it's a confusing time right after you retire, especially. It's another poll time. See, we're keeping you engaged. You got to be on point here. So we're doing a poll, and the poll is: traditional retirement is an outdated concept. Answer yes, no, or maybe. Traditional retirement is an outdated concept. All right, so 3 of you said yes. All right, that means that you must have some thoughts and some ideas as to what a traditional retirement is. Let's see, I lose my little arrow here. So as we examine retirement, a traditional retirement has some thinking about it that's described in these 8 statements and more. You could probably add to these statements. But again, as I was describing with my father, the earlier you can retire from work, the better your life will be, the more successful you will feel. That was really a thing with him. And he was very traditional in terms of his retirement. You do not work in your retirement years. That's another note for traditional retirement. Retirement years are the golden years. And this actually was a term that was coined by the travel industry in the 1960s when people began to retire. The retirement age dipped way down and people began to retire at 62, 63 years old. And they were living the life of just relaxing and going places and doing things. And that was retirement. It was just do whatever is fun for you. Here's another thought. You're close to the end when you retire. In other words, you retire and then you die. I'm sure you've heard that expression. That comes out of a traditional retirement. Having nothing that you must do is the goal of retirement life. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. And that becomes your purpose. I don't have to do anything. Also, retirement is a reward for a life of hard work. Now we're going to talk about some other things in modern retirement in just a minute, but we're still looking at just traditional retirement. In traditional retirement, you sit back and relax, enjoy the ride, preferably in an RV or on a cruise ship. You just sail around the world. You have a great time. And then I'm not too sure that everyone in traditional retirement thought this way or thinks this way, that your Social Security check will be enough for your retirement years. But we certainly know that it is not. We know that from our good counseling with our financial advisors. Plus, we just know it from the expenses that we have every single month. That's not going to work. But there was a time when it came much closer to working, especially for those people who had pensions. The companies had a big pension and you had your retirement and everything was covered, including healthcare, by the way. So let's take a look at some modern retirement concepts. And I want you to know that I Googled. No, I didn't Google. I went on Amazon and I searched in books for retirement books. There were 70,000 hits, 70,000. That's how many retirement books are out there. If you have not looked recently at retirement books, you need to do this because we are in an era of not your parents' retirement. We are in the era of the modern retirement. It is still evolving, and it's taken on almost a life of its own. But you hear things like next chapter, your second act, your wonder years, your third act, your next step, your final act. That's actually the title of a book. Or your encore life. So these are some of the terms. But the new retirement is not necessarily of a time of gradual decline. It's not about growing old quietly. The most recent studies find that, and the increasing number of older men and women are not interested in acting their age and retreating to the sidelines. They want to be in the forefront. They want to make their own life. They are rebelling against ageist stereotypes, the things we see in ads that, I don't know about you, but I get something every week from you can have free, let's see, what is that lifeline where you hang this thing around your neck? You can have that now, and I'm thinking, I don't think I need that now, but I am lumped in a large group of seniors. And so that's the advertising. So people who are interested in a modern retirement are rebelling against that. They may even be late blooming in their maturity about who they are and what they want to do in life, because we have so many responsibilities before this. They see retirement as an opportunity to build new dreams, make new contributions, and personally reinventing themselves. The opportunity is there. Relationships, new ways of living, relocating. That's a very popular thing to do in modern retirement. Passive leisure is being replaced by adventure travel. You're going somewhere for a purpose. You're getting educated. You are volunteering. You're staying vital. You're turned on. You are seeking new experiences and new ways to learn. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? And it is exciting to be a part of this redefining of retirement. So research, I want to show you this book. I'm going to hold it up in front of my face. It's called What Retirees Want, A Holistic View of Life's Third Age. It's by Dr. Ken Dykewald and Robert Morrison. They have collaborated for many, many years on retirement. And I would highly recommend that you read this book, which has been written in the last couple of years. But with one caveat, it was published during the pandemic. So I'm sure that they would have had asterisks on certain things. But here's what he says. Our research has taught us that the American dream of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is morphing slightly for today's retirees. They want health for life. How can I be healthy? Tell me how to do that. I will do it. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do all of these things. I want to have a healthy life. Freedom to be your authentic self. No rigid structures that you have to follow anymore about who you are. A chance to pursue one's purpose and your own personal vision of happiness. So this tells you that retirement is an extremely personal thing. Everybody has their own personal thought about retirement. And the retirement coaching I do is only to awaken and ask the right questions to draw those ideas and those thoughts that you have in you of who you want to be for that last third age. And by the way, this book refers to retirement as our third age. Our first age is when we are learning and acquiring knowledge. We're in school. Our second age is when we are in the workplace, pursuing different jobs and working for a long period of our lives. And your third age is your retirement age. Okay, let's go to the next. Just a real quick background on retirement. You probably already know some of this, but the word retire literally means to retreat or withdraw. So there's a huge argument going on in the retirement community about, can we find another word to describe this? Can we get rid of this word and modify it and make it more like what it is to us now? Nobody's succeeded in doing that. But to retreat or withdraw is not what modern retirement is about. It's about diving in the pool and swimming. So retirement itself, you probably know, is a 20th century invention. Nobody before the 20th century really retired, or very few people did. It was an agrarian society. And then we had the Industrial Revolution. Social Security was introduced in the 1930s. And just as an aside, the first paychecks that were doled out to people in the 1930s at age 65 averaged about $220. But life expectancy then in the 1930s was only 62. So you didn't really have very many people who made it through many years of retirement, 5 at the most. And which is very, very different today, because skipping down a bullet, we will most likely have 20 to 30 years of life after work. And some people even stretch that to 40 years if you are an early retiree. Something else that is impacting retirement, demographics are redefining retirements. Have you ever heard yourself referred to as a baby boomer? And baby boomers are redefining retirement. As you know, they've redefined just about every traditional thing that was going on. So the baby boomers, I want to get the dates right, are born between 1946, 1954. So about the oldest baby boomer now would be somewhere 70, 75 or so. So we're still in the impact of the baby boomers. There are, let's see, there were, let me see my notes here. So during the baby boomers, there are 10,000 boomers retire every day. There are 77,000 baby boomer retirees right now, 77 million, excuse me. They have we have economic clout. We have a sort of an ageless aging mentality. We want to stay active, and we already talked about this, engaged and purposeful. And also in the third stage of retirement came the rise of financial planning as the core of retirement planning. But now we're bringing in this concept of planning needs to be more holistic. And there are other things that you consider as you consider your finances. If you're going to go back to school and get another degree, your finances are going to have to look very different from if you weren't going to do that. So you're planning about what you want to do, what your purpose is, what you want to be when you're retired is very, very important as well. So,
yeah, sorry, I'm just going to pop in here and mention that Anne had a question.
Good. I didn't see that. Yes, there's that green thing. All right, Anne, let's see if I can see it. Did you say boomers end at 64? So it is 54. So you're 1946 to 1954, there were 76 million births. Does that sound right? Did I write it wrong? Hopefully I didn't. Did that answer you, Anne? Great. I do want to tell you that retirement from work and what we've been describing, it's not all happy. In fact, it is number 10 on a life stress inventory called the Holmes-Rahe Life Stress Inventory. There are 43 life events that are listed on that inventory form, and retirement from work is listed as the number 10 most stressful life event. There are many others listed on there, and I have my list here, but I'm not sure where it is. There it is. Okay, so the number 1 would be the death of a spouse, divorce, marital separation, detention in a jail or any other institution, death of a close family member, marriage, personal injury or illness, being fired, reconciling with a mate, and retirement from work is number 10. So we have some stress that's built into this decision of who you want to be in your retirement. Despite an aging population, we are a much older population now. You may experience ageism when you join the ranks of the retired. And ageism is usually associated with work. You are demoted, or you are not promoted, or you are not asked to do things, and you feel that it is because of your age, or you end up being able to prove that it's because of your age. This is unfortunately, the courts have sort of weakened the whole idea of ageism in work. But the ageism I'm talking about here is something that occurs as you are in retirement. You're grouped in with a very large group of people, and you are seen as a senior, and you're advertised to as a very large group. So you just need to watch for that, because that is something that I know it irritates me. It irritates me a great deal. So let's go to the next slide here. All right, so these are researched stages of retirement from age wave and the typical retirement journey. Stage 1, believe it or not, occurs somewhere between 10 and 15 years before you ever retire. If you remember back, 15 years before, your thoughts about retirement, you think about it and it's almost a wistful thinking about it. It sounds very enjoyable. You're positive, you're enthusiastic, you're glad at some point you're going to be able to retire. And you have this notion that you should be saving for retirement, but you don't really have a definite picture of what you're going to be doing. So it's hard to do that, and you have other responsibilities. I've had conversations with my son, who is in stage 1 of imagining a retirement. And stage 2 retirement is anticipation. So about 5 years before, 2 to 5 years before, you begin to think more about preparations. You begin to anticipate retiring. You begin to say, when I retire, I'm going to do such and such. You have a few activities planned. I'm going to see these 5, here's my bucket list. I'm going to these 5 places. You generally, in this period, engage a financial advisor to begin to look at, what do I do about Social Security? When do I take that? And you begin to have conversations about your finances. But your idea of what your life is going to be like is still a little bit murky. You may have identified, I'm going to get back to painting, or I'm going to do this. So you're thinking about some things and anticipating. So the next stage is the next stage is liberation. You retire, the day comes, you're done. That's quite a day to experience being in your office the last day. Or in my case, I had a home office and worked with my folks, and they were in other places, but still I disconnected everything, and that was it. Liberation, retirement day. And many people experience a feeling of exhilaration. I did not, but others go through a honeymoon period that lasts less than 2 years. Research based, it lasts less than 2 years. But this is when you are just so excited that you can get up and walk around in your slippers all day long and not have to do anything. You can watch TV, you can eat ice cream, you just do all the things that you have sort of put in the back closet. You're planting your garden, you're doing all kinds of things that you've wanted to do. And it is a wonderful, exhilarating time for those people who are looking forward to that retirement day. And then after a couple of years of this, just doing whatever you want to do, There is a reorientation period where you begin to adjust your expectations and you begin to see, oh, this is a very personal journey I'm on. I need to think of this as what is going to make me happy, not everybody else, but what's going to make me happy? What are my opportunities? How can I reinvent myself? Do I want to? Am I happy with myself? Maybe I'm okay. I don't need to change anything. But this reinvention period, believe it or not, lasts for 12 or so years. It's documented as lasting between 12 to 15 years. And all during this time, you may be reinventing yourself in several different ways. You may try out this job, or you may try out this activity, or that hobby, or visiting that place. So you are on the move looking for the opportunities that fulfill you personally. And then when you get to stage 5, it is a reconciliation stage. It you slow down, your pace slows down. You may be confronting some health issues. You rest and relax more. And there's a touch of sadness because you're losing people that are close to you and that are around you. And you begin to think of something very new. How am I going to be remembered? What is my legacy going to be? And we see that happening towards the end of a person's retirement, which is basically the end of their lives. So talking about legacy is actually an exciting thing. How am I going to leave a legacy? What do I want to? What is the legacy that I want to leave? So these are the typical stages of retirement. And again, as I said, they're research based, and they were identified and acquired through many years of interviews and research. So there are these big gnawing questions that persist throughout this retirement journey that you are going to be on. Who will I be? Identity is probably the number one issue. When you first retire, it is, who am I now? I used to be a senior consultant with blah, blah, blah company. I could label myself, but who am I now outside of that label? What will I do every day? What is my purpose going to be? I'm going to eat popcorn every day. I'm going to eat ice cream. What am I going to do? I mean, that, as we said, there's a honeymoon period there that is totally, nobody says don't do it. You're going to do it anyway. You're going to go through this period of where you're going to just be so happy that you don't have to do the things that you've had to do for the past 20, 30 years working. When will I be ready to retire? This is a choice for you to make. And it's not entirely financial. Yes, there is a huge financial component, but up here, I was not ready to retire. And I know I'm not alone in that, because I have people answer those questions that we asked in the first poll that, no, I'm never going to retire. And I used to be one of those people. I'm never retiring. I will never do it. But it came to me. So where will my friends come from? Believe it or not, your social network, the structure of your day is centered squarely around your work career and what you're doing. That adds the structure, that adds the contact that you have with the people that you're with. But when you retire and you're at home all the time, believe it or not, I mean, your work friends drift away. Maybe you see them every once in a while and have a lunch with them. But really, you begin to say, wow, I'm not having regular social contact. What am I going to do about this? If you're a social person, if you're not, if you say, I like it, I want to be on my own, I'm good. I'm good with it. Talking on the phone is fine for me. There are other people who are very social, who want to see others and be with others. So where will my friends come from? Why do I need a plan for retirement? there's a little bit of a fear there. Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have enough money. I don't know if I'm going to have enough to do. I don't know if I'm going to be successful at being retired, because many of us are driven by success. So we're going, I want to be a successful retiree. And then how can I support myself financially during retirement? And that's a very important, very important thing. So chat again for me. What is a gnawing question that you might have? These are the who, what, when, where, why, and how questions. And just choose something. What's a question that you would be asking, and maybe you have been asking internally about retirement? Give you a minute to think, and I'm looking at the chat. Questions that maybe gnaw at you. And it could be a money question. Do I have enough? That's one that constantly gnaws at us. Okay, I know you're thinking. I'll let you continue to think, and we'll just move on from that one. That's a little difficult one. I do want to talk about some serious things. There is a harsh reality. Oh, did we get someone?
You did. Check out what Richard has
okay.
to say.
Richard, how will I replace self-worth acquired at work? Oh my gosh,
That's
is
a good
an
one.
excellent one. And it is one that I've struggled with personally, because you're so involved in work and it is so much a part of your identity and your purpose. So self-worth, great question, Richard. Harsh reality. There is a dark side to retirement. You look at these statistics. There are mental health disorders that are not a part of normal aging that come about with retirement. 20% of older adults older than 65 have experienced depression. I'm sure you've heard that, and I'm sure you've seen that. In fact, there are 7 million adults 65 and over who are affected by depression. That translates that 20% into a number. There are 14.7 suicides out of every 100,000 people over the age of 65 in the US. The proportion of people 55 years or older being treated for drug abuse, especially cocaine and prescription medications, has doubled in the past 10 years. And this statistic is pre-pandemic. 40% of adults age 65 and over regularly experience feelings of loneliness. There's a gigantic nationwide, worldwide project called the Loneliness Project. And it came to light during the pandemic because I even read a couple of articles that said the people who were in the best position during the pandemic were retired people, because they're used to staying home. They're used to not doing anything. They're used to not seeing their friends. They're used to that. I mean, this was an article, and I have that article. Sometime I'll share it with you, because it was a very interesting take on it. However, seniors, people who have retired, people who are 65 and over, have huge feelings of loneliness. And there are things that can be done to help in the struggle to overcome loneliness. Alcohol has steadily increased in use in people over 65, particularly women. So these are some of the harsh realities. And there are, let's see, I want to make sure I'm on the right slide here. So as we look at those harsh realities, as I work with clients and I help them plan a retirement lifestyle, or we begin to look at 5 big areas here. We know that financial is a huge area. I do not look at that area in detail, except to advise my clients to see a financial advisor and to get educated about their finances and to get educated about what it means to draw your Social Security at certain ages. And your financial advisor can help you with that. And Joanne regularly has our wonderful webinars. So get educated. There's also a spiritual aspect to your life, your values, your beliefs, re-examining those during retirement. Are they going to stay? Are they going to be the same things that guide you into this 20 or 30 years beyond? Take a look at your perceptions and attitudes, your mental state, your the things that are bothering you. Well, chances are when you have more time, you will have more time to worry about the things that you are currently worrying about. So your mental state is very important. Your physical, your health, well-being, your social, again, your social network, your social style. How are you going to express that during your retirement years? And of course, again, financial. So these are 5 big areas that we discuss, and I have activities that we talk through. This is one of the activities that I use right at the beginning, and I want to invite you to download this readiness wheel. This is 12 key areas of a successful retirement transition. And I hope you can see those. You can download it and print it off and just simply rank yourself 1 to 7, 1 being, I'm not prepared at all, to 7, oh, I'm really comfortable with this. I have no problem with this. So for instance, the attitude about aging, about getting older, on a scale of 1 to 7, where are you on this? Your physical health, on a scale of 1 to 7, where are you on this? Are you thinking, oh, when I get to be retired, I'll exercise every day? I don't have time now, but I'll do it when I exercise. So this is ranking yourself. And then and I wish I could show you a connected one, but I wasn't able to get that slide, where you simply circle the number that applies to where you are on this wheel, and then you connect your circles around. And obviously, the goal is to get your wheel round enough to roll so that you can begin to make the transition to retirement. I would like to invite you to fill this out, and then I would invite you to have a complimentary session with me that I'll talk about in just a minute after I go through these thoughts to leave you with. When to retire is a decision that goes beyond the financial aspects. We talked about all the things that you need to consider, including Richard's great point about self-worth. How are you going to feel good about yourself when you're retired? We also have 5 key areas of comprehensive retirement readiness planning: spiritual, mental, social, physical, and financial. Those are great big buckets that things go in. Retirement can be stressful. It can be confusing. You have competing ideas. You have ideas and you have friends that are talking about, well, when I retired, I played golf every day for 35 days. Or I went and visited every baseball stadium in every capital in the United States. Okay, your retirement journey is a personal one. So you can listen to all of these ideas, but it can be confusing. Retirement is a personal journey, and I should have said that earlier. It's not a destination. It's not a destination. It is a journey that continues. And the good news is if you don't like what you're doing, you can change it. That's what's great about it. Resilience, which we didn't get to talk about today, is the foundation of a happy, satisfying retirement life because things will happen during that life. Somebody will get sick, maybe you don't even know. And you suddenly have to change things in your life. So resilience, and I have a wonderful book to read on resilience as well. So I feel that non-financial retirement coaching can be a benefit at any stage, any of those stages that I shared with you in your retirement journey. And I'm inviting you to start with that transition wheel. And I'm offering you a complimentary 1-hour consultation. You can answer a poll about whether or not you would be interested in learning about the process that I use, the tools that I use, a retirement wellness workbook. And by the way, our Retirement Coaches Association is about to release this fall a great retirement readiness assessment, which will, it's a series of statements, and it will help you to assess your readiness in all areas of your life, not just finances. There are written documents. We have thoughtful discussion. There's definite planning that's going on. And I provide support. I provide you with resources. And we can do this in varied formats, online, in person, by phone, FaceTime, Zoom, or a combination of any of those. And you also, if you are using JH Advisors, you can also ask if you can meet me here, and I can come to the office and we can meet in person at the office. I want to thank you so much for your attention today, and thank you for being engaged in this particular webinar. I really enjoyed talking about retirement with all of its possibilities. It's a journey, and it's your journey. And I would really like to help you with that journey. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Gail. That was awesome. We always appreciate your wonderful information. I see it so often sitting in meetings with Mom, Joanne, that there is a huge gap for people who are approaching retirement. There is a lot of fear, I would say. And a lot of the questions that people are asking us, we don't necessarily have the answers to because we're looking at the finances. We're looking at the investment side. And, I feel like there is a gap for a lot of people who are approaching retirement. And I do feel like Gail can help with that gap. So even if you are marching towards retirement with the utmost joy and anticipation, if you know someone who maybe has a little more trepidation, or maybe needs to work through some of this stuff, I highly recommend that you put them in touch with Gail. I shared a poll over there that says it asks if you want to get emails from Gail. If you said yes, I'm going to send her over your email, and she's gonna hit you with some content that she has. She's going to try to give you some value and some resources that you can read, that you can share. We're really trying to get educated here. That's our goal with our Seed to Harvest Wealth programs. We want to cover the comprehensive retirement knowledge gap that there is. There's so much great information that we want to share and that we want to proliferate so that everybody can have the joyful, happy, most successful retirement possible. So if there are any follow-up questions, chat them in now. Otherwise, be sure to watch your email for our upcoming classes. Like I said, that real estate class, once again, I'll mention the date. It's on June 16th. If anyone you know is thinking about renovating or relocating, there'll be so much great information on it. And Social Security is coming back June 30th, so make sure that you tune in for that. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. If you're watching this on the recorded version and you want to get in contact with Gail, there's a button beneath the link that you can see her contact information. Otherwise, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Great day.
Thank you, Gail.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.